She won Olympic gold for Russia at the 2004 Athens Games. She was the youngest rhythmic gymnastics world champion in history, her name etched into the Guinness Book of Records. Before she was old enough to vote, she served in the Russian parliament. She runs a media empire. Her personal fortune is estimated at hundreds of millions of dollars. And she is believed to be the mother of at least 2 secret sons fathered by the president of Russia, children so hidden from public view that their names, their ages, their schools, and their locations are classified with the same protocols used to protect nuclear launch codes. Her name is Alina Kabaeva. The Kremlin has never confirmed her relationship with Vladimir Putin. The Kremlin has threatened legal action against any journalist who reports it as fact. And every intelligence agency in the Western world considers her the secret first lady of a nation whose leader controls an estimated hidden fortune exceeding $200 billion. The gymnast who became a state secret. The relationship between Vladimir Putin and Alina Kabaeva exists in a category that most democratic societies cannot comprehend. A personal bond between the leader of a nuclear superpower and a former Olympic athlete that is simultaneously the worst-kept secret in Russian politics and the most aggressively guarded piece of classified information in the Kremlin's arsenal. In 2008, a Moscow newspaper, the Moskovsky Correspondent, published a report suggesting that Putin and Kabaeva were in a relationship and planning to marry. The story ran for less than 24 hours. The newspaper was shut down, not censored, not fined. Shut down entirely, the publication ceased to exist, its staff dispersed, its archives pulled from circulation. The message to every editor, every journalist, and every media outlet in Russia was delivered with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. This topic is not a story, it is a state secret. And state secrets in Russia are protected by consequences that extend far beyond a defamation lawsuit. Putin officially divorced his first wife, Lyudmila Putina. In 2013, a separation announced on state television with the awkward, rehearsed delivery of 2 people reading from a script that a press officer had written for them. The divorce confirmed what the Russian public had long suspected. The marriage had been a formality for years. What it did not confirm, and what the Kremlin has refused to confirm in any official capacity to this day, is the identity of the woman who replaced her. Alina Kabaeva has never been photographed with Putin in any context that could be interpreted as romantic. She has never appeared beside him at a state function in the capacity of a partner. She has never been introduced, acknowledged, or referenced by the presidential press office as anything other than a private citizen. And yet multiple investigative outlets, intelligence assessments, and insider accounts converge on the same conclusion. She is the mother of his children, the woman he comes home to, and the most protected private citizen in Russia. A newspaper published a story about their relationship. The newspaper was shut down within 24 hours. What does it tell you about a country when reporting on the president's personal life is treated the same as leaking nuclear secrets? Tell me in the comments. But the woman the Kremlin is protecting with this level of ferocity was not always a political figure. She was built, from childhood, into something else entirely. The girl from Uzbekistan who bent the world. Alina Maratovna Kabaeva was born on the 12th of May, 1983, in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, at the time still a republic of the Soviet Union. Her father was a professional footballer. Her mother recognized early that the girl had a physical flexibility and coordination that went beyond normal childhood agility, the kind of natural gift that in the Soviet athletic pipeline was identified, catalogued, and channeled into state-run training programs before a child was old enough to choose for herself. By the age of 4, Alina was in formal gymnastics training. By the time she was a teenager, she had been selected for the elite national program, a system that produced Olympic champions with the efficiency and emotional warmth of a factory assembly line. The training was brutal. Hours of daily practice, stretching ligaments beyond their natural range, repeating routines until muscle memory replaced conscious thought, performing through pain that most adults would treat as an injury requiring weeks of rest. The coaches did not ask how she felt. They asked how many rotations she completed. The body was not a person. It was a machine that needed to be calibrated to international competition standards, and the calibration did not stop for fatigue, injury, or childhood. The machine performed. Kabaeva became the youngest rhythmic gymnastics world champion in recorded history, a distinction so extraordinary that the Guinness Book of World Records formally recognized it. She won European championships. She dominated international competitions with a grace and technical precision that made judges lean forward in their seats and competitors accept defeat before the final routine was scored. By the time she reached the 2000 Sydney Olympics, she was the most decorated rhythmic gymnast of her generation, and she was only 17 years old. She took bronze in Sydney, a result that Russia's athletic establishment treated as a failure rather than an achievement, because the machine was not built for bronze. It was built for gold. And the gold would come, but not before the machine nearly broke. Because what happened in 2001 did not just threaten her career, it threatened to destroy everything she had been built for, and it set in motion a chain of events that would eventually lead her to the most powerful man in Russia. The scandal that changed her life. In 2001, Alina Kabaeva tested positive for a banned substance furosemide, a diuretic commonly used as a masking agent for performance-enhancing drugs. The positive test triggered an immediate suspension from international competition and stripped her of results from the period in question. For an athlete whose entire identity, personal, professional, national, was built on the premise of athletic excellence, the doping scandal was not just a career setback, it was an existential crisis. Picture a teenager who had been in a gym since the age of 4, whose body had been sculpted and punished and perfected for over a decade, whose entire childhood had been sacrificed on the altar of Olympic ambition, suddenly told that the medals she had won were tainted, that her name was being discussed in the same breath as cheaters and frauds, and that the one thing she had been trained to do since before she could read was now, temporarily, forbidden. The suspension lasted 1 year. In the life of a rhythmic gymnast, whose competitive window is measured not in decades but in a few narrow years between adolescence and the physical decline that begins in her early 20s, 1 year is a lifetime. A year off the mat is not a pause, it is a potential ending. But Kabaeva did not end. She returned, and the return was not a quiet comeback, it was a coronation. At the 2004 Athens Olympics, 3 years after the scandal that should have destroyed her, she won gold, the Olympic championship that Russia had demanded from her since she was a child, delivered on the biggest stage in sports, in front of an audience of billions, by a woman who had been banned, shamed, and written off by critics who assumed the doping positive would be the last line of her athletic biography. The gold medal silenced every doubter. It rewarded every hour of training. And it placed Alina Kabaeva on a pedestal so visible that it attracted the attention of the one audience she had not been training for, the political elite of the Kremlin, banned for doping at 18. Written off by critics, and 3 years later, she won Olympic gold. Is Kabaeva's comeback the greatest redemption story in gymnastics, or proof that the system always protects its own? Tell me, below. The gold medal opened doors that no gymnasium could have built, because the career that followed had nothing to do with balance beams and everything to do with power, from the mat to the Kremlin. After retiring from competitive gymnastics, Alina Kabaeva did not follow the typical post-athletic trajectory: no coaching career, no commentary booth, no gymnastics academy with her name on the door. Instead, she entered Russian politics with a speed and altitude that would be inexplicable for any former athlete who did not have extremely powerful sponsorship operating behind the scenes. She was elected to the State Duma, Russia's lower house of parliament, representing United Russia, the ruling party directly controlled by Putin's political apparatus. She served as a legislator for several terms, a role that in the Russian political system is less about drafting laws and more about demonstrating loyalty, maintaining visibility within the party structure, and occupying a position that carries institutional protection and immunity from prosecution. The transition from gymnastics to parliament was seamless, suspiciously so, critics argued. For a woman with no formal political education, no grassroots constituency, and no legislative track record, the seat was not earned through electoral competition. It was granted, the way Kremlin-aligned positions are always granted, from above. But the political career was merely a waypoint. Kabaeva's real power base emerged in media. She became the chairwoman of the board of National Media Group, one of Russia's largest media conglomerates, controlling significant stakes in major television channels, newspapers, and digital platforms. The company's holdings include interests in Channel 1, REN TV, and other outlets that collectively reach tens of millions of Russian viewers daily. The position placed Kabaeva at the nexus of information and power, running the same type of media infrastructure that the Kremlin uses to shape public opinion, control narratives, and suppress dissent. Her estimated personal fortune accumulated through media holdings, real estate, and income streams whose origins are shielded by the same corporate opacity that protects the finances of Putin's inner circle is estimated at several $100 million. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Western governments placed Kabaeva on sanctions lists, freezing her assets in European Union jurisdictions, banning her from traveling to sanctioned countries, and publicly identifying her as a person closely associated with Putin's regime. The sanctions were not targeting a gymnast. They were not targeting a media executive. They were targeting the woman intelligence agencies believe shares a bed and children with the man who ordered the invasion. The sanctions said what the Kremlin has never said. This woman is not a private citizen. She is part of the power structure. The sanctions exposed a paradox that the Kremlin had never planned for. For 15 years, the state had maintained the fiction that Kabaeva was simply a retired athlete who happened to work in media. The sanctions shattered that fiction because governments do not freeze the assets of media executives. They freeze the assets of people who matter to the person they are trying to pressure. Every sanction designation that listed Kabaeva's name was a diplomatic admission signed, stamped, and published in official gazettes across Europe and North America that the relationship the Kremlin denies is real enough to be weaponized. The West did not sanction a rumor, it sanctioned a relationship. And by doing so, it told the world what Moscow has spent a decade and a half trying to hide. And the most closely guarded part of that power structure is not her media empire or her political career, it is the children. Because the sons she is believed to have given Putin are the most invisible humans in Russia, the children nobody has ever seen. Multiple investigative outlets and intelligence assessments indicate that Alina Kabaeva has given birth to at least 2 sons fathered by Vladimir Putin. The Kremlin has never confirmed the children's existence. No official birth announcement has been made. No photographs have been released. No names have been publicly disclosed through any channel that the Russian government controls. These children exist in a shadow known to intelligence services, referenced in investigative reports, but invisible to the Russian public and to the world at large. The children are reportedly homeschooled, educated by private tutors within a secured residential compound, without interaction with peers in normal school settings. No classroom, no playground. No birthday parties with children from neighboring families. Picture boys growing up in an environment where every adult around them has been vetted by the Federal Protective Service, the same agency that guards the president himself, where every visitor is screened, every communication is monitored, and every outing is a security operation planned days in advance. The children do not attend public events. They do not appear in family photographs. Their existence is managed with the same operational discipline the Kremlin applies to military deployments and intelligence operations. The rationale is both logical and devastating. Putin has made enemies across every continent, governments that would use any personal vulnerability as leverage, intelligence agencies that would target his family for information or influence, and domestic opposition figures who would seize on the hypocrisy of a leader who preaches traditional values while maintaining a secret family outside his official marriage. The children are hidden because their exposure would create vulnerabilities that the security apparatus cannot control. They are hidden because their existence contradicts the official narrative. And they are hidden because in Putin's Russia, personal truth is subordinate to political necessity, and no truth is more politically explosive than the identity of the president's sons. The isolation extends beyond physical space into something even more fundamental: identity. These children cannot Google their own father without encountering a political universe that would overwhelm an adult, let alone a child. They cannot mention their family name at a doctor's office without triggering security protocols. They cannot form friendships without those friendships being vetted, monitored, and potentially terminated if the other family asks the wrong questions. They are growing up in a world specifically designed to ensure that the most basic human experience being known is the one thing permanently denied to them. The irony is suffocating. The sons of the man who controls Russia cannot control the simplest facts of their own biographies. The result is a childhood defined by absence, the absence of normal social interaction, the absence of public identity, the absence of the ordinary experiences that shape a child's understanding of who they are in the world. These boys are growing up inside a system that treats their existence as a classified operation. They are, in the most literal sense, children of the state born into a family whose power is so vast and whose secrets are so deep that even the act of being alive must be conducted in silence. And the woman raising those children, the gymnast who became a media mogul, the lover who became a state secret, is now trapped inside a paradox that may never resolve. The price of being Russia's secret. Here is the question that the Kremlin will never answer, that Alina Kabaeva will never be asked in a free interview, and that the children growing up behind security perimeters will not understand until they are old enough to recognize the shape of their own cage. What is happiness worth when the price of keeping it is erasing it from the world? Kabaeva is, by every financial metric, one of the wealthiest women in Russia. Her personal fortune, estimated at several $100 million, built through media holdings, real estate, and the financial mechanisms that Kremlin-connected figures use to accumulate wealth under layers of corporate opacity, ensures that she wants for nothing material. She lives in luxury residences protected by state security. She travels under protocols reserved for senior government officials. She commands a media empire that shapes what tens of millions of Russians see, hear, and believe. By the standards of wealth and influence, she has everything, but she cannot be seen with the man she loves. She cannot acknowledge her children in public. She cannot appear at a state dinner beside the president. She cannot walk down a street in Moscow holding his hand. She cannot post a photograph of her sons on their birthdays. She cannot attend their school events, because there are no school events, because the school is inside the compound, because the compound is the world, and the world beyond it is a place where her existence as Putin's partner would create a vulnerability that the security state cannot accept. The golden cage is not a metaphor. It is an architecture, physical, digital, and psychological, designed to ensure that the most powerful man in Russia can have a family without the world knowing what that family looks like. Alina Kabaeva was once the most celebrated gymnast on the planet, a woman whose body was designed to perform in front of millions, whose grace and beauty earned standing ovations in stadiums across the world. Now she performs the most difficult routine of her life, being a mother, a partner, and a person in total silence, behind walls that the public cannot see, inside a secret that the state will protect with the same ferocity it uses to protect its nuclear arsenal. The gymnast who bent the world now bends to the demands of a system that requires her to be invisible. The Olympic champion who thrived under the brightest lights now lives in the darkest shadow the Kremlin casts. And the children she is raising, sons of the most powerful man in Russia, heirs to a hidden fortune exceeding $200 billion, will grow up knowing that the most valuable thing their father ever owned was not oil, not missiles, and not territory. It was their silence. An Olympic champion turned state secret, sons who have never been photographed, a fortune worth hundreds of millions, and a relationship the Kremlin will shut down a newspaper to protect. Is Alina Kabaeva the most powerful woman in Russia, or the most imprisoned? Tell me what you think. Before you go, here are 3 strategic truths from this story. First, the most protected secret in any regime is not military, it is personal. Russia guards its nuclear codes with extreme security. It guards Putin's family with more. A newspaper was destroyed for printing a rumor about a relationship. Hackers and intelligence operatives monitor any journalist who gets close to the story. The children's identities are classified at a level that rivals defense infrastructure. Because the most dangerous vulnerability a leader can have is not a weak border. It is a human connection that someone can exploit. And the Kremlin has decided that this particular connection is worth protecting at any cost, including the freedom of the woman at its center. Second, a golden cage is still a cage no matter how much gold covers the bars. Kabaeva has wealth, influence, and access to power that most people cannot imagine. She runs a media empire. She lives in protected luxury, and she cannot post a photograph of her own children. She cannot walk beside the man she loves in public. She cannot exist as a complete person in the only country that matters to her, because her completeness would create a crack in the armor that the state has spent decades building around its leader. The gold is real, the cage is real, and no amount of one changes the nature of the other. Third, the cruelest inheritance is the one that comes with silence attached. The sons of Vladimir Putin and Alina Kabaeva are growing up inside a classified existence, homeschooled, isolated, guarded by the same agency that protects the president, and denied the one thing that every child on Earth should have, without condition: the right to be known. They are heirs to a fortune estimated at $200 billion. They are also heirs to a silence so total that even their names are state secrets. The fortune will be there when they grow up. Whether their childhoods will have been worth living is a question that no amount of money can answer. If this story revealed a world hidden inside the most powerful family in Russia, hit subscribe and turn on notifications for Billionaire Story. Because next time, we are pulling back the curtain on another dynasty where the secrets are darker, the money is deeper, and the price of power is paid by the people who never chose to be part of it.